Carrasco, end zone. Oh, my goodness! Needle, step back for the win! Ah! The middle room for Beasley, leaps over a defender and scores! Watson hits it the other way, deep to left field, it is gone! Now the catch, wrestled down on the 2, Coastal wins it! The Teal is for real!
This is the Teal Syndicate Podcast, your home for the Coastal Carolina Chanticleers.
Week 2 of Ryan Beard's first training camp as Coastal Carolina head coach just wrapped up last week, and we are well underway in the 2026 college football season. My name is TJ O'Sullivan, and welcome back to the Teal Syndicate Podcast, your home for Chanticleer Athletics. As I mentioned, I'm TJ, and joined as always by longtime voice of the Chanticleers, Joe Cashin. Joe, there's a lot to talk about with football, right? It is a very interesting situation, though, because we're kind of held on the outside of this, right? Media is not really allowed to see what's going on, but, you know, we get to speculate again, I guess, this week.
If it's left up to our own devices, TJ, then that's what we have to do to fill the airtime, right? To get some content, we get to speculate, right? How things are going behind closed doors, behind, you know, what's going on over there at Brooks Stadium. I guess they had a scrimmage this weekend, and hopefully we'll get a little bit of information on that at some point pretty soon. Hopefully we'll get Coach Beard on and have him discuss some things with us too. We're trying to work on that angle as well. But love to see what's going on with the quarterback battle. You know, heard that's a pretty good one. Wide receiver room looks pretty good from, you know, it's some intel that I've been trying to gather, you know, as best we can. But, hey, I guess we'll see everything that we need to see on September 5th, and everybody chomping at the bit to try to figure out what's going on here on August 17th. Yeah,
like Joe said, we've got very little knowledge about what's going on, but I think that's everybody in the Coastal Carolina media. We're just as in the dark as everybody else. Ryan Beard keeping a tight lid on training camp. So we've got a really fun one in store for you today. We've got a game that we're going to play later. We're going to start with a mailbag. David Schultz with Locked On Sunbelt is going to join the show here in a little bit. But to start things off, Joe, we wanted to make some notes or say some words, rather, about two very important pieces of Chanticleer athletics. And I just wanted to pass that off to you, and you have the floor, sir.
Yeah, I'm going to add one more name to that, then I'll get to the other two. Abby Thorne named as our 4th women's lacrosse coach on Friday by Athletics Director Chance Miller. Rachel Shuck-Witten, who did a great job with Coastal Lax, she went back to Furman, where she coached originally before being hired at Coastal, so she went back. So Abby Thorne, who came on as an assistant last year, named as our 4th head coach of women's lacrosse. Congratulations, Carrie Rosing. You talk about a Coastal landmark now, a Sasser Hall of Famer as a player in the late 90s. Just did a tremendous job as senior woman administrator here at Coastal and associate athletic director for student athlete enhancement. She is moving over to the academic side of the house, and so we wish her the best. I wish her all the best. Known her for a long time. She will be with the Recreation and Sport Management program in the CMC College of Health and Human Performance. So Carrie's just a tremendous human being, did a great job with Coastal Athletics as that senior woman administrator since 2008. And so I just wish her all the best. And again, a Sasser Hall of Famer as a player. And she moves on, and that was announced last week as well. So best of luck to Carrie, just a class individual in every respect. And so who Carrie played for at Coastal, Jess Danley, has I don't know if anybody saw this past week. I know if you know Coach, you know Pop, you know that he has decided to end all of his cancer treatments. He's been fighting for 5 years, and he's decided that the time has come for him to go on home, and they're going to call in hospice on him, and he's gonna he's living it out from here on out. And I can't say enough about what Jess has meant to Coastal. You know, he's a great friend of mine. He allowed me to MC several of the Hall of Fame induction ceremonies through the years, as he was a driving force behind that. Jess is, you name the sport at Coastal, he probably coached it one time or another. Obviously, most known for softball, the Danley deck there at the softball complex named after him. The contributions that he has made to Coastal through the years and the community have been immeasurable. Just a wonderful human being in every respect, and he has fought the great fight. And just wish him all the best. Prayers go out to, obviously his sons, McEwen and Travis, TD. I worked with Travis for many years on the strut, and TD and I still talk regularly, and just great friends with him and Wendy, his wife, and we just wish them all the best as Jess fights this, and again, just hearts go out to him, prayers go out to him. I know he's going to get a lot of visitors and a lot of well wishes here in the coming days, but again, just want to send my best to Coach and their family.
Yeah, I mean, Justin Ellie and Carrie Rosick, two juggernauts in Coastal athletics.
Yeah, no question.
Two people that, you see Coastal, especially at the turn of the century, right? That's when football starts up. That's when Coastal's really starting to come into their own. These are two of the figures that have taken Coastal from, an FCS school, a smaller, known as the satellite school of South Carolina, to today, Coastal Carolina is an identity of its own. And those two had a huge part in that. So we wish them the best in their, the coming days, coming weeks. Like we said, prayers up to Coach, and we wish them all the best. And, it does lead to a pretty good segue for the question that we have here on the mailbag. The two people that we just talked about could be the answer to this question, but we are going to start with a mailbag here in this episode. Question from who else but the Unpopular Mindset.
The Unpopular Mindset. Great questions, great discussion.
They've been on top of their game. I don't know, but man or woman, but the Unpopular Mindset has been the popular mindset here in Teal Syndicate. Here's the question. Which Coastal Carolina player or coach do you think has had the biggest impact on the program's success in recent years? And what did they bring to the program that the stats alone don't show? Joe, I don't think there's a sport in mind here. There's great answers for all of the sports that Coastal offers, right? I have a pretty good idea of who I'm going to go with, but I'll start off with you.
Well, if we're not sport specific and you're looking at greatest accomplishment and lasting legacy, then there's only one that you can really name, and that's Gary Gilmore. And we had him on, a couple of weeks ago. 29 years as head coach, national championship legacy, that will go, far beyond however long he lives. If you're going with baseball, then it's obviously Gilly. And what he did. If you're talking football, this gets really interesting, right? I mean, David Bennett came in from Catawba and started the program in 2002. They had the startup year that year, the practice year, and then we hit the field for the first time in 2003 and really laid the groundwork for what we see as Coastal football today, right? I mean, we had 4 great years to start football, in those early years. And so you could talk about him. Yeah. And then, Coach Moglia comes along and takes us from a certain level to levels that we had never seen in FCS, right? I mean, because you got 2 different levels we're discussing here, right? FBS, FCS. The FCS years, they were coaches then, and our 2 head coaches during that era. And then obviously in the FBS era, Jamie Chadwell, he took it to a whole nother level that you saw, obviously, TJ, right? I mean, so it's really interesting. When we can sit here for, we can take up a show or 2 and talk about coaches through the years in the various sports, right? As to what they've meant to the school, their impact, their success, their legacy, that all of that. And so just me in a couple of minutes. So those would be my answers right off the cuff.
No, I think it's hard to argue with a national championship.
Yes.
Right. I think that it is, for argument's sake, I'm going to do it. But Gary Gilmore is the reason, I'm a long time, my long time Coastal fandom is not as long as a lot of people in this fandom. I went to Coastal, my freshman year was 2018. The reason that I went to Coastal Carolina was because of Gary Gilmore and that 2016 team. I had honestly no idea. I'm a kid from Connecticut. I had no idea what Coastal Carolina was. And then they got in front of the national spotlight, right? And from that point on, when I got to Coastal, everything was, there were a lot of people there. There were a lot of undergraduates. And I'm like, oh, this is a pretty cool place. How come I've never heard of this? because it's been growing in the past 2 years, right? That was it. It was a relatively small school, and then when I got there was 10,000 to 12,000 undergrads. So it's hard to argue with Gary Gilmore being the answer to this question. I would be remiss to not give Jamie Chadwell his flowers, because Jamie Chadwell, while Moglia took us from, as you said, heights that we've never seen before at the FCS level, Jamie Chadwell put Coastal in front of the national spotlight again, and this time it was in football, which, as we've said many, many times on this show, that's the moneymaker. That's the one that really gets you, 2020 was the year of the Chanticleer. And for them to not only, they're in FBS for, their third year, their fourth year, and they go in, have a tremendous outing, 11-0 in the regular season, co-champions with Louisiana, whom they had beat earlier in the year. They had wins. Yeah, they had wins over 3 ranked teams at some point during the season. App State was ranked at some point during that season. And, of course, the win over BYU. Right. Yeah. Big time. He brings College game day to campus. These are things that, now people know who Coastal Carolina is, right, in the grand scheme of things. Everyone knows that Teal means Conway. Everyone knows that Teal means Coastal Carolina. And it's tough for me, non-baseball fans now know who Coastal Carolina is. So I think it's tough to not bring Jamie Chadwell up in the conversation. Tough to argue against a national championship, though.
I'm going to go back, if we're going to add another sport to this and men's basketball, I'm going to go back in the record book, back about 30, almost 35 years to Russ Bergman, right? A lot of my association with Coastal didn't start until 2003, but my wife graduated Coastal in 91. And so back in the early 90s, Russ Bergman was our head men's basketball coach, and he took 2 teams to the NCAA tournament. They were really, really good. They had something going on in men's basketball. If you want to talk about the post-Division II Coastal athletics era, when Coastal went Division I, Russ Bergman might be the guy that comes out and talks. You talk about first, right, in terms of the biggest impact coach. It put Coastal kind of in a national spotlight kind of situation with what he did with the men's basketball program back in the early 90s for those 2 trips to the NCAA tournament.
Absolutely. 1991, 1993, both losses to Indiana and Michigan, but just getting to the dance is just really that. There, man. That's You got to just get there and put yourself in that situation. Then, of course, Cliff Ellis ended up in 2014, 2015. He ends up bringing the boys there. Sure did. But we'll see what Justin Gray can do. It feels like Justin Gray is right on the precipice.
I think he is, TJ. I mean, you saw a tremendous improvement in year 2, even though the roster flipped, right? I mean, there were 1 or 2 guys from his first team that came over last year that stuck around, and then you watch them get tremendously better. And hopefully year 3 they'll make an even bigger step. Yeah, bigger step than third place. Or claiming the 3rd seed, rather, that tied for 2nd place last year. So Justin Gray and the Coastal men's basketball program, we're going to have our eyes very closely on. But we have to talk some football at some point today. And since we don't have a whole lot of information on the Coastal training camp, though from everything we're seeing on social media, it seems to be going very well. Quarterback battle seems to be well underway. We're going to talk some Sun Belt. In the meantime, Dave Schultz from Locked On Sunbelt joins us next on the show. But first, let's listen to Kyle Nashheim as he breaks down this quarterback battle a little bit further. Don't go anywhere.
If you are looking for Coastal Carolina's quarterback of the future, well, you're going to have to wait a little longer. After last season, the Chanticleers basically cleaned out the quarterback room and put up a help wanted sign. In 2025, Coastal cycled through Tad Hudson, Samari Collier, and MJ Morris. Together, they produced just 2,204 passing yards, the 2nd lowest in Coastal's FBS era, 16 touchdowns and 13 interceptions. The 13 interceptions were a program record since joining FBS. So yeah, there was room for improvement, and Coastal responded by bringing in an almost entirely new quarterback room.
Look here. You do now, son. Woohoo!
introduced Bailey, Trey Guerra, Trevor Jackson, and freshman Osiris Lopez and Luke McBride. Bailey followed new head coach Ryan Beard and offensive coordinator Nick Petrino from Missouri State, giving him a major advantage. He already knows the system. Petrino is installing a pro-style power spread offense designed to play fast, attack vertically, and build the passing game around the quarterback's strengths. And the Petrino name has some serious football pedigree. Nick is the son of Bobby Petrino, now the offensive coordinator at UNC. Aflin has Bailey projected as the starter.
Not so fast, my friends.
Phil Steele gives the edge to Guerra, who threw more than 2,800 yards and 29 touchdowns last season at Tyler Junior College. He also has the most college starting experience among Coastal's 3 transfer quarterbacks. With 5 quarterbacks competing for one job, the room might be looking around at each other like,
Hi, my name is
your potential starting quarterback. Jackson brings Power 4 experience, while freshmen Lopez and McBride bring plenty of upside. Lopez threw 40 touchdowns as a high school senior, and McBride had 3,230 yards and 36 touchdowns. So Coastal has options. It doesn't have an answer, at least not yet. For Chanticleer fans, hopefully the answer comes with a few more than 16 passing touchdowns this time around. For Teal Syndicate, I'm Kyle Nashheim, and this has been One Strange Stat.
And we are back here on the Teal Syndicate podcast. Special thanks to Kyle Nashheim, another WCCU alum, as always, giving us that strange stat of the week, talking about the quarterback room as training camp for Coastal Carolina just chugs right along. TJ O'Sullivan, Joe Cashin back with you to talk some Coastal training camp and the Sun Belt overview with host of Locked On Sunbelt, Dave Schultz. Dave, welcome to the Syndicate. How are you?
I'm great. I'm better now. You did not tell me that the legendary Joe Cashin was on the podcast.
Legendary.
You know, every time that somebody calls Joe Cashin legendary, he gets all bashful. He blushes a little bit. But
so let's get this out of it. Joe does not lack confidence. All right, his ego can't get any bigger than it already is. Just to say,
that's funny.
Well, Dave, thanks so much for taking the time to talk with us. You know, we mentioned at the beginning of the show, Coastal Carolina not allowing a whole lot of media access to this year's training camp, keeping a tight lid on things.
Really?
So gives us a whole bunch of time to speculate, whole bunch of time to just talk. So first off, I want to tell you, because I know that you were in New Orleans for Sun Belt Media Days. Yeah. You got a chance to hear from Ryan Beard. Give us your first impressions. What do you think about him? What do you like about what he brings to the table?
I'm impressed with Ryan Beard, young and up-and-coming coach. I think it's a great story. I'm sure you guys have talked about it. His OC is his best friend and brother-in-law. So, holiday meals may be an issue somewhere along the way. So I think that's great with Coach Petrino, that he ended up dating his best friend's sister and marrying her. So I guess that all ends well. But obviously it's all up for grabs, right? New coach, new quarterback. So we're looking for to where it was with Jimmy Chadwell, but obviously the Sun Belt is much tougher than it was when Coastal was winning division titles and conference titles.
No, absolutely. It's much tougher now than it was then. And you saw the end of the Tim Beck era, the team which was on an all-time high, right? 11 wins to 9 wins to 6 wins for 2 straight seasons. And sorry, go ahead.
Well, I'm a big Tim Beck fan. Okay, somebody who was in college football forever, finally gets his chance. Tried to do one thing with Grayson McCall, it wasn't working, and then he went back to what Grayson. I don't know what you guys called it. Somehow, I always refer to it as like the freeze option, but it was like a triple option with a pass. I mean, it was an incredibly hard offense to stop, but that's because Grayson McCall is a magician with the football, and not only could he run it, he could pass it. Well, Grayson McCall ends up getting that concussion, and they never really recovered. He went to 3 bowl games, right? Playing with a third-string quarterback that hadn't played at all before he got to play in a home game, right? Playing the Myrtle Beach Bowl, and just some leadership I liked. And no, they weren't where they were, but it was mostly because, and you can look at this, anybody, when the quarterback is not healthy or not consistent, it's not as good as you'd like it to be. And when Grayson McCall was playing for Coastal Carolina, for the most part, it was really good. When he got banged up and Tim Beck couldn't solidify that position, it turned out to be the way that it did. And, here's hoping that Ryan Beard can solidify that position. It may just be, one guy this year, and he's got somebody for the next couple of years. But that's the whole key. You're going to ask Mike Desimo what it's like, having a guy, play every down as quarterback, and then he hasn't had anybody do the same. Mike Desimo has not been able to keep his quarterback healthy in Lafayette for the Cajuns, whereas Billy Napier, now the coach at JMU, never played his backup quarterback. In 4 years, did not start his backup quarterback, I should say that. So that's the big key, and that'll be the key for Ryan Beard. Because I'm a big Tim Beck fan, but the quarterback thing could never be consistently good.
No, absolutely. And before I let Joe go, not a bash on Tim Beck at all. I think that he was on the wrong side of quite a bit while he was at the helm at Coastal Carolina. I mean, he was a great guy for the university, and it just never really panned out post Grayson McCall. He wins the Hawaii Bowl his first year, and then you've got Grayson McCall heading off to NC State for his final year, and then you've got a slew of quarterbacks. You've got your Ethan Vascos, your MJ Morrises, who, guys with great promise, just didn't pan out on the field. And then Samari Collier comes in, does what he does, right, and then he goes down. So, we said a couple weeks ago on the show, we think that if Samari Collier doesn't go down, you might still see Tim Beck in Conway, and it's a shame that it went down the way that it did.
Joe, aren't you impressed when TJ makes my point for me?
You ask a question, then you make the point. That takes talent to do that, Schultz. Yeah, I know that. I mean, you know what I mean?
Listen, if I'm from one thing, I'm talented. That's all I can say. Joe, you go ahead. I know that you were about to say something.
Yeah, you brought up Billy Napier going to JMU. Obviously, Schultz, you're familiar with what he did with the Cajuns. As we get into the rest of the league and we kind of crystal ball this thing for 2026, what do you think of that move? What do you think he's going to do there? And then and maybe just kind of give a look at the West. What do you think about the West?
I think the quarterbacks in the East are better. The quarterbacks in the West have a lot of potential. As far as Napier goes, he likes to run the football. That was the thing. Now, he was blessed with two guys that are in the NFL on the offensive line, and Kevin Dotson and Robert Hunt. So there's that. And then he was blessed with some great running backs, Trey Regis, Raymond Clay Jr., and Eli Mitchell. So it wasn't a matter of, what does he think he can do? It's what they're best at. And that's what they were best at. It's a whole new thing. It's a lot less than it was when he was coming into the Cajuns. I'm sure some guys transferred out, but obviously that's not the almost everybody transferred out just because Bob Chesney left and some guys with eligibility. And that was the other thing about Tim Beck, right? You're coaching one way for 30 years, then all of a sudden they change the rules just as soon as you're getting your head coaching job. So he had to learn on the fly, as did everybody else did, but maybe not quite as easy for somebody who's had all that kinds of experience doing it one way. In the West, we go with the quarterbacks who are coming back, right? The Cajuns have Lunch Winfield, Goose Crowder is coming back, right? Troy gave JMU all they can handle. It was a one-score ball game in the fourth quarter in Harrisonburg, right?
Yes,
so that was a ball game. They scored a couple of touchdowns late in the fourth because JMU is really good, but that was a football game. And we're looking for Troy to play really well this year. Watch out, they got Missouri week 3. Watch out for that. That could be interesting. And we'll see where we are in the East. I have ODU winning the Eastern Division.
Dave, let's take a look at the graphic from last week when we had Phil Steele on the phone. Let's take a look at specifically the conference slate, right? Coastal's got Georgia Southern, Marshall, App State, Georgia State, ODU, and then the two West Division teams in Arkansas State, Louisiana, as you mentioned before, and then finally James Madison to end the year, looking for that first win in that rivalry. But let's start with Georgia Southern, right? Because Phil Steele last week, he has his eye on that Georgia Southern game, and I tend to be pretty high on Clay Helton and the Eagles bringing in Max Johnson. What are your thoughts on the Eagles, and what does Coastal need to do to start off that conference slate strong?
Well, they better start it off strong because their final 2 ball games are against the Cajuns and JMU. So you need to get a little leeway in there in case things do go wrong towards the end. But yeah, as we mentioned, it's going to all matter on Max Johnson. If Max Johnson can stay healthy, it's a really good quarterback. Problem is he hasn't stayed healthy. So you can be high on it. They started cutting back on interceptions in Clay Helton's offense, so that was good. But yes, I think that's one of those teams that, again, depending on the quarterback, could surprise some people in the Sun Belt East. But if they can start out, I mean, is this difficult of a schedule to start off with? Right, West Virginia is obviously tough. You get Fordham at home, although if that's the same guys running the ODU offense, that could help out down the road. Because that's the ODU offense was the Fordham offense. Mm-hmm. But then you get Delaware on the road, and then you get Liberty at home, which will be, I mean, how great that's going to be. Please tell me we're doing a Jamie Chadwell bobblehead doll game, something like that. That's a great job. It's a great job by, the schools to have him come back and do that. But could they start out 2-2 and 3-1?
Yes.
Yeah, absolutely.
Yeah, you want to do that, and then all of a sudden, all right, you can take advantage of the Sun Belt schedule. You'd like to think you got to beat Georgia Southern because you're at home. The Marshall game on the road is going to be tough, and you get App State at home, always a difficult ball game. But then you're at Atlanta against Georgia State, but then you get ODU at home, and you get Arkansas State at home. I mean, it'd be nice if they had a winning record. And then they got a bunch of their games to begin with, at home. Marshall is not going to be easy. We'll see if Georgia State. We're looking for, Georgia State and ULM to, pick it up a little bit. But isn't that a workable schedule? Is that I don't think it gets super difficult until the end because the hard games are mostly at home outside of Marshall. You got in the last 2 ball games. So they have a workable, winnable schedule. It depends how good they are. I mean, we say they could be 2-2, 3-1, but, if Liberty is any good, and they weren't last year, and if Fordham has that high-flying offense, Delaware won a bowl game last year against the Sun Belt, in fact, right? Was it against Coastal?
Louisiana.
Against the Cajuns. All right. So, they could be anywhere from 0-4 to 3-1. So then you get the reset with the Sun Belt if that happens, and maybe you're making a quarterback change or whatever the case may be. But you'd like to get off to a good start and take advantage of what is most of your early Sun Belt games at home. You got to take advantage of that. Marshall and Georgia State are on the road. Split those. And do a number of the home wins of the home games, and all of a sudden, it's an outside shot if you ask me right now, but they could be in the hunt for a division title. I think that's a hot take right there, but you never know. I mean, maybe Jackson is everything for maybe the starter is everything. Trevor with an E is everything for Coastal Carolina. So, again, we'll wait and see, but that's going to be a big thing. I mean, obviously a highly touted kid coming out of high school. So maybe he's everything that he promises to be. Now going into Morgantown to begin your career is not going to be easy. Let's admit that. But maybe he shows up and I'm not sure West Virginia is supposed to be all that good this year as well. Their over-under is like 5.5.
Well, you got Rich Rod up there talking about he doesn't have enough eligible players. He might have to open this thing up to students to come out and see if he can fill out a roster. Have you seen that? That's fascinating.
He's looking for 8 to 10 more people. That's right. What's he looking for? Special teams guys? What's he doing?
I don't know if that's a bunch of smoke or a bunch of coach speak, whatever it is, but I find that kind of interesting. So I want to ask you this couple of questions here. Number one, you mentioned that you like ODU in the East Why do you like them? And in the West, Arkansas State is Coastal's last home game this season. Does Butch Jones really get this thing turned around and kind of have? I've seen a lot of excitement out of Jonesboro here in the preseason. Schultz, what do you think? Why is ODU your favorite in the East? Thoughts on the Red Wolves?
Yeah, I like what Ricky Ronnie has done. We know Quinn Henicle is athletic. We'll see if he can throw it like Colton Joseph. I think he's, he can run the ball pretty well. And I think, that whole culture thing, he's going into his 7th year at ODU. I think they figured out on how to go about doing this. They took off last year after they went into Blacksburg, which they're going to do again. And we'll see if James Franklin loses to ODU or Virginia Tech loses to ODU again. Anyway, but I like ODU because I'm a little bit higher on Quinn Henicle than everybody else is. I don't really know if he can throw it. We're presuming that he can. So there's that. I think Arkansas State has their work cut out for him. This is actually, you guys know I talk out of both sides of my mouth, but we don't know the quarterback situation so much so in Jonesboro. If this is Jalen Rayner, Arkansas State would be picked to win the Sun Belt West. It's not Jalen Rayner. We don't know who that quarterback is going to be over in Jonesboro either. You do have Chauncey Cobb. You got an explosive wide receiver raring to go. But, that's going to be an issue if they don't get that quarterback right. I'm not sure. I'm not quite as high on Arkansas State as others. I have been high on Arkansas State the last couple of years, but not high on them this year. They're a middle of the pack team, but they could be a lot like ODU. If they get that quarterback right, they could take off.
No, absolutely. Well, we know that you've got a thunderstorm going on right now. Had a little technical difficulties in the middle there, but we'd love to get you on halfway through the year. Tell us where we can listen to you.
Well, Locked On Sunbelt. You can go to YouTube. You can find us at Locked On Sunbelt, as well as the Apple and Spotify audio podcasts. You don't have to, see the Good Hair Day all the time. Usually is a Good Hair Day. But we found this hat out. I just happened to pull this hat, and some random can that was just happened to be sitting around. And so you can find me on Apple and Spotify as well. You can find it. You can find Locked On Sunbelt wherever you get your podcasts.
Absolutely. Dave Schultz from Locked On Podcast. We appreciate your time. We wish you the best of luck in the coming weeks. We know things are busy over there for you, and we hope to see you again this football season.
Absolutely. TJ, thank you so much. Please, next time when I'm on with the legendary Joe Cash, and I would be better served to be more dressed up. I should have worn a suit with a jacket, something along those lines. Sorry that I slummed it a little bit for you, Joe.
I'm just shocked. I'm stunned.
My bad. Thanks for having me on, guys. Really appreciate it.
Thank you,
Absolutely.
Dave.
When we come back, we got a game for you guys. Joe and I are going to get into some drafts. Don't go anywhere. Listen to Teal Syndicate. And we are back here on the Teal Syndicate podcast, your home for Chanticleer Athletics. TJ O'Sullivan, Joe Cashin, back with you. And as we mentioned, we've got a fun one for you today because Coastal football, we don't have a whole lot for you right now. We're waiting. We're working with athletics for Ryan Beard. But in the meantime, I had a fun idea, Joe. Have you ever heard of the game 82-0?
Only what you briefed me on prior to us going on. I will say yes, I have heard of that, yes.
Well,
for purposes of this exercise, yes.
Yes. So for those who have not heard of the game 82-0, it's an app that me and my friends, anyway, have been obsessed with. It's for NBA fans. You take, a random era, random team. You spin a wheel, and you get to pick a player from that team, from that era, and you have to make your best starting five. And based on what you put up there, the app projects a record. Goal is to get 82-0, a perfect season in the NBA. So we've got a similar concept. I've got a wheel up here. You can't really see it on the screen if you're watching on YouTube, but we've got a spinner Joe and I are going to take turns. We're going to draft. You can go in any order you want. You got to pick a quarterback, a running back, a wide receiver, a tight end, and any defensive player that you want. Those are the 5. Okay? So, Joe, without further ado, do you understand the rules?
I think so. We'll find out.
We'll figure it out. We'll learn as we go. But if we've got nothing to talk about, we might as well.
Let's do it.
We might as well compete a little bit here. All right. First spin for Joe. Wheels going, and it is landing on. Oh boy. Okay, 2021 to 2025. So the last 5 years. You can pick in any order you want. You need a quarterback, running back, receiver, tight end, defensive player. Your choice.
21 to 25.
Yep. Any player that played in those years.
I want Isaiah Likely, tight end.
Oh, that's so. Oh, I was hoping you wouldn't say that. And I did forget a rule. Since you have Isaiah Likely, if I get 2020, I can't pick Isaiah Likely.
Right. There you
go. So Joe has Isaiah Likely as his tight end. He's off to a tremendous start. He's got one of the 4 NFL shots. Now I'm spinning the wheel. And my years are 2003 to 2010. So now this is going to really put my, as I mentioned earlier in this show, I am a 2018.
I know what I would do.
I have a feeling I know who I'm going to pick too. I think he's going to be a defensive player. I just need to make sure that he's. Oh, you know what? I don't think he's there. Oh boy.
Interesting.
I don't think he's in that era. Oh boy. Give me just a moment. Yeah, you can do that all you want. You can do that all you want. I just need to make sure.
All right.
I am going to take Josh Norman.
Okay.
Josh Norman as my defensive player.
Okay. All right.
I wasn't sure because he finished up his career in 2011, 2012. And I wasn't sure if he had any time in the 2003 to 2010. So I've got my defensive player. We will spin the wheel for Joe now.
Yes, he was 09, 10, and 11 were his big years.
Yeah.
So you're good there.
And 2011 to 2015 is your era. You've got Isaiah Likely. You've got tight end locked up. You need a quarterback, running back, receiver, defense.
I got several ways I could go with this, right?
Mm-hmm. And that's the fun part of this, right?
Yeah. You got Norman as your defender.
Got
right?
Norman as my defender.
And that what are my 11 to 15? Is that what you told me?
11 to 15. Yep.
All right, give me Quint Backus, defender.
All right, Quint Backus. All right. My turn. This is interesting because there's no visual on YouTube, so everybody's getting the audio version of this, but I'm okay with it. Next time, we'll work a wheel into it. How about that? I get 2021 to 2025, and you know exactly who I'm going to take.
I know what's coming.
You know what's coming? You want to make the pick for me?
Yes, it's got to be 10, right?
It's 10.
Yeah,
Grayson McCall. We'll just take him off the board.
I got you. Yeah.
There's 2 eras that you can get Grayson McCall in, but because there's no guarantee that I'll get either one of them the rest of the way, just take him off the board now.
You had to do that.
Yeah, absolutely had to. And if I get this era again, I've got another guy who I don't think you're going to see coming.
Interesting.
So spin the wheel for Joe. And he is looking at 21-25. So
wow.
you get another pick at the latest. So anything from the Cure Bowl victory against NIU to now.
And who do I have left? What
You have all your offense.
All your offense.
QB, running back, wide receiver. Next time we do this, I am gonna get the Jeopardy logged or
because we gotta have a time limit on this. It was Hiley Hiley was a wide receiver at 21, right?
Yeah, he was. Yep.
Okay, I'm going with Javon Hiley.
So you've got highly and likely.
How about that, huh? We had fun with that on the radio broadcast too. We always those were two good guys to.
It was funny as a student there. Anytime that we got an ESPN broadcast, when we started to have that run, we'd play. Honestly, we'd play a drinking game. You'd pick a range of times, and this is how long it takes for them to do the highly likely pun, and it was usually one of the first things they said when they started breaking down the rosters. All right, I'll spin the wheel now. You've got Javon Hiley, Isaiah Likely, and Quinn Backus. I've got Grayson McCall, Josh Norman, and it just goes to 2003 to 2010.
See, that's what I want to get. That's what I want.
That's what you want, huh?
I want that era. I do want that era, yeah.
All right, well, we're going to have to...
Not that I don't like the ones I'm getting, but I would love that era.
We're gonna have to go deep into it. Let's go with these are passing yards. Let's go with rushing. Let's take a look at what we've got at running back. I don't know that I'd go with any of those right now. How about receiving? To 2010, I can have the second highest receptions in school history. I can take Matt Hazel, and I think that's what I'll do. I'll go with Matt Hazel.
Interesting. Okay.
Yeah, why not? I'm saving out on running back.
Hazel I don't think he's not in our Hall of Fame yet. He needs to be. I don't think he is. He needs to be in the Hall of Fame. I'm saving out on running back right now. There's a certain era. I know if I get the right spin here, I know who I want as my running back. But anyway.
Well, I'll tell you what, you're gonna get a third straight 21 to 25.
Dude, come on, you're wearing me out with that. Come on. Look,
I'll respin. How about this? I'll respin. Yeah, you get one respin.
Wearing me out with that.
One respin, and it's 2003 to 2010. You need a quarterback and a running back.
Well, if it's quarterback or running back in that era, I'm going with Thigpen, quarterback.
Going with Thigpen. Okay. All right, give me what I want. Spinning the wheel. And it is 2021 to 2025, and this is what I was hoping for. This guy is probably the most underrated running back that I think Coastal's ever had. He did not have a great second half of his career, mainly due to the switch from Jamie Chadwell to Tim Beck. But I am going to go with Braden Bennett here. Braden Bennett.
Interesting.
One of the hardest runners I have ever seen play college football. Not just, I'm talking in terms of intensity. I think he's up there with the best of them. And he's also on the list. He's up there with rushing yards. He's the number 7 all-time rusher at Coastal Carolina, behind two guys that he used to run behind, and C.J. Marable and Reese White. He's up there with them. He's 2 yards shy of Reese White for 6th on the list. So I'm taking Braden Bennett with that one. That brings Joe to his final pick, running back. And here is the era. It's going to be 2016 to 2020.
This is a no-brainer for me. 2016, right?
Yep.
Give me Hop Henderson, the greatest of all time.
There it is. D'Angelo Henderson, Hop Henderson.
That's kind of what I was hoping for. Finally hit the big bucks. Well, actually, I hit the big bucks with several of them, but
there you go. You caught him. You caught his senior year in that era.
And scored a touchdown in 35 consecutive games. What a great young man he is too.
And now I have my final spin is for a tight end. And it is going to be 2016 to 2020, which means I can't have Likely, which really stinks.
I'm telling you, I hate to say that I'm trying to think of an impact tight end, and maybe I just don't. Somebody out there screaming at me in that era.
I'm sure they're screaming at me too. I cannot think of. I cannot think of anybody from that era off the top of my head. This stinks. I'm sure that there's somebody that I am forgetting, but I need a tight end. So I'm gonna start to cheat a little bit. I'm gonna go on my my computer. Oh boy, this is a great look for me.
That's why I took Likely first. That's when I realized what this game was. If I got that era first and I had the option first, because I mean there have been some solid tight ends in our history, but obviously nobody like Likely.
Yeah,
we've never really truly used a tight end, a lot in terms of offensive production and big numbers. And Likely really wasn't. I mean, he was more of a hybrid kind of guy, honestly.
Yeah, he was more of a receiver than anything.
He really was. I mean, yes, but they listed him as a tight end, so
Boy, I still can't find anything. All right. There, people at home are starting to click off, but it is what it is. I do apologize, but I gotta figure somebody out here. I'm gonna literally the first tight end I find. It's gonna be who I choose, and we're gonna go with. They're not going to be happy with me. We'll go with, I think we'll go with this guy here. Let me just check the stats really quick. Yeah, you know what? We're going to pick, no, we're not going to pick that guy. Whoops. I don't know. I'm going to pick Lorenzo Taylor just as I think that's the name I just had because I'm taking too long. There's got to be a time limit at it at some point.
Yeah, we got to have
there's got to be a time limit on it. I messed up. So Lorenzo D'Angelo from Rome, Italy.
Yes.
Welcome
him. Yes.
Welcome to the squad.
Yes. Not a bad player. Remember him.
All right. Here we go. So my team is Grayson McCall at quarterback, Braden Bennett at running back, wide receiver Matt Hazel, Lorenzo D'Angelo at tight end, and Josh Norman on defense. Joe's got Thigpen, Hop Henderson, Javon Hiley, Isaiah Likely, and Quinn Backus. Let us know who wins. We'll put out a post for our draft rather, but yeah. If we do this again, Joe, this was like a last-minute thing. But
it was very, very last minute.
Very last-minute thing. But if we do this again, we'll have more rules. We'll have a better understanding of how to do this because I got to tell you, I was going to go by year. I was going to go by year when I started this at the beginning. That wasn't going to happen. So we're gonna stick to the same eras, but let us know who you think won. Other than that, Joe.
Well, pick a pool of players at each position, right? And then we just pick out of that pool at each position. Go and predetermine some guys, right? I mean, and how we determine that? Whatever criteria,
Absolutely.
That was accolades, all that kind of stuff. So that way, because you had a tough pick. I mean, because again, we've had some quality tight ends through the years. We just hadn't used them a lot, right? For production.
There's only one that we both think about.
Yeah,
from recency bias.
David Duran was a good tight end back in the. When was he? David Duran was around. I know he was around in 12, 11, 12, 10, 11, 12. That kind of. He wasn't bad. He came here from Michigan State, if I remember correctly. He wasn't bad, but if you'd gotten that era, I'd have told you to go with that guy. He wasn't bad. He was pretty good.
Well, next time,
Tommy Pauciello might have been a tight end. He was pretty good in 13, maybe.
Yeah.
And Pat Noe would throw to our tight ends a good bit, but yeah, he wasn't a bad one either.
Well, this is what happens when you need to find things to talk about because media doesn't get let in to the training camp. So let us know who you think won. We'll post a comparison of the two teams, but unless there's anything else to report, Joe, I think that's going to do it for episode 5.
All right. Enjoyed it. Had another good run here.
Absolutely. We will be back next week. Another week of training camp in the books, and we will tell you a little bit more about it. But for now, Joe Cash and TJ O'Sullivan, this is Teal Syndicate. See you next time.